In an earlier presentation, we discussed the great need to expand missionary work to all the people of the world. To accomplish this, we must strive to find and prepare more people to be taught. Stake missionaries seek to foster missionary activities in every worthy way. In this presentation, we will give you some practical information on what you as a stake missionary can do to involve more members in finding and how you can become expert finders yourselves. Remember that the Spirit is the most important factor in this work. To be successful, we must have the Spirit with us.
Doth confound the wise.
Let's begin by looking at some general things stake missionaries do to be successful. The key person in the finding effort is the ward mission leader. He initiates the planning, which takes place mainly in a weekly ward missionary correlation meeting, where the ward mission leader, stake missionaries, and full-time missionaries correlate the work in the ward. During this meeting, they review the convert baptism checklist for each investigator and new convert. Consider participation of member friendshippers. Set appointments for full-time missionaries to teach investigators found by stake missionaries. Make assignments for stake missionaries to accompany the full-time missionaries. Plan baptismal services. And on the whole, direct the work so that investigators are continually being found, taught, and new members fellowshipped. The Priesthood Executive Committee is the missionary committee of the ward, with the bishop as chairman. The ward mission leader sees that missionary items are on the agenda. He encourages the Melchizedek priesthood leaders in their missionary responsibilities. It is through the PEC and other meetings that priesthood holders report progress in finding investigators. The ward mission leader will also attend ward council meetings to work with auxiliary leaders as well. All stake missionaries work closely with ward members, helping them fulfill their assignment to prepare people to be taught the gospel. It is through the participation of more members that many more non-members will receive the gospel. In the United States, 71% of those baptized are referred by members. As you may have discovered, it is not always easy to secure help from members, usually because they are either unsure of how to go about it, are afraid of what their friends will think, or are not sufficiently motivated. Although we don't have all the answers, we can suggest some things that have been successful. The first thing stake missionaries can do is serve as good examples. They should be expert finders, doing all that can righteously be done to seek out interested non-members. They should personally friendship non-members and prepare them to be taught the gospel. New converts are especially good at helping to find people who might be interested in the gospel. You may remember these scenes from a previous video segment where stake missionaries used the commitment pattern to help a new member think of friends who had felt the influence of the Spirit. The missionaries were then successful in encouraging the young woman to approach her sister and her husband within the week to invite them to hear the discussions. As stake missionaries, you should have several non-member or part-member families that you are actively working with. This will require ingenuity, creativity, and spiritual strength. What can you do to find people to teach? There are two basic finding activities for stake missionaries. One, making personal contacts with relatives and friends to prepare them to hear the missionary discussions. And two, helping members make personal contacts with relatives and friends to do likewise. Being a good example in finding people to teach will increase your success in working with ward members. But there is a great deal more you can do to encourage and help them. The member missionary class is a start, but it is not nearly enough unless it is properly implemented. Unless members are trained in missionary skills and involved in doing the work, they are less likely to become involved and enjoy the success of seeing others receive the blessings of the gospel. To train and help, it will be necessary to become personally involved with the members, visit their homes and share ideas, encourage them to build positive spiritual relationships with their non-member friends. Let them know what is effective and help them be effective. For example, generally speaking, members who are successful in missionary work actively socialize with non-members. They are more direct in asking non-members about the gospel. Beyond being a good example and good friends, they go about actively doing things, such as inviting non-members to share a family home evening, bearing personal testimony, and discussing basic gospel principles with them, inviting them to church meetings, sharing the Book of Mormon and other church literature and audiovisual materials, and inviting them to be taught by the missionaries.
That was wonderful.
Well, I'm so glad you could
Appreciate
come
you
over.
inviting us over.
Well, I'm so glad you guys came over.
It was wonderful.
Quite the cook. Well, thank you.
Church pamphlets can be used to help initiate gospel discussions. The pamphlet, Come and See, is useful in inviting non-members to sacrament meeting. The study guides accompanying the missionary discussions can start a gospel conversation.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters.
It helps, too, to give members a taste of the joys of missionary work.
Welcome to
Share success stories with them.
and especially
Take them to
Alan and
convert
Jane,
baptismal
chosen this day
services.
to enter the waters of
Attend a
baptism.
missionary discussion.
We have two speakers
Visit
today.
a recent
Brother
convert.
Atkin, who's going to be
Visit
speaking
a
on
non-member
baptism,
together.
Bishop Brewster, who
Pray
has
for a
kindly
non-member.
volunteered to be speaking on
The
the
challenge,
blessings
then,
derived
is
from
to help members get past the good intention stage and do something useful. Following is an example showing how stake missionaries use the commitment pattern to encourage a member family to actively find someone to teach. Look for ways the commitment pattern is used and be prepared to discuss how the missionaries might improve in their approach.
Steve, Sally, as you probably know, we have a specific purpose for being here tonight. Part of our calling is to help members fulfill their missionary responsibilities.
You're going to ask us for the names of some friends who might be interested in the gospel, aren't you?
That's right, Steve, we are.
Don't get me wrong. I want to help any way I can. It's just that
Craig, I think what Steve's trying to say is that, well, we've thought a lot about this ever since Darren went on his mission.
Darren even asked us once to think of some people's names and refer them to the missionaries. But I just don't know anybody that would be interested.
Many church members feel that way, a bit unsure where to start, maybe.
But the thing that keeps us going is knowing the blessings that come to those who accept the gospel.
Steve, when was the last time you prayed specifically to be led to a non-member who's ready?
You know, whenever I travel, I always carry a Book of Mormon. And I look for opportunities to talk about the church.
Good.
But I never prayed really to find someone.
We've never even thought about that.
There's a scripture about that in the 29th section of the Doctrine and Covenants. Let's see. Tracy, would you read it for us?
Sure.
Right there in verse 7. It's a revelation given to the prophet Joseph Smith. It's about how Christ gathers his elect in the last days.
Well, what does his elect mean?
That's a good question. Let's read the verse, then we'll talk about that.
And ye are called to bring to pass the gathering of mine elect. Harden not their hearts.
So that's who his elect are. People who are waiting to hear the gospel.
Oh, I get it.
Will you, as a family, pray that the Lord will guide you to someone who is ready to hear the gospel?
What do you say, kids? Honey?
That's good.
Sure. I think we can do that.
I think we can do that, sure.
That's great. That's great. We'd like to check back with you next Sunday evening and see how you're coming along. I think you'll be surprised at what'll happen in 1 week. Let's see, would 8 o'clock be all right?
That'd be good. Oh, wouldn't it be great if we could tell Darren we'd found somebody and the missionaries were teaching them?
Yes, it would.
I know it can happen if you pray sincerely. You can begin by making a list of your non-member friends. By the way, we find that people are more receptive to the discussions if there's been some preparation. If they've had a gospel discussion with you, if they've accepted the Book of Mormon or other church literature, watched a film strip, or attended church or a family home evening.
They have to do all those things?
No. If any one of those things has happened, they're more likely to listen to a discussion. I'm sorry if I didn't make myself clear.
That's all right.
Now consider these questions. What did the missionaries do to prepare, invite, follow up, and resolve concerns? What went well in the missionaries' approach? What might you have done differently? Now stop the tape and discuss your answers to these questions. When you're finished, restart the tape.
A way to help church members focus in on someone to teach is to follow a simple 5-step plan that many missionaries have found useful. This approach will help members take specific actions in finding non-members to teach. Have the family review a list of their non-member friends. If they can't think of anyone, jog their memories. Whom do they work with? What about part-member families, relatives, neighbors? Ask them to choose a family they could prepare to hear the discussions. Then ask the family to select a specific date that they will do something with regard to the person. Or ask them to set a date and, with faith, expect the Lord to help them find someone. Setting a date will help them exercise faith, give them a goal and a sense of purpose. Teach them to pray for guidance and receive the help from the Lord that He has promised. Encourage members to prayerfully plan exactly what they will do, such as discuss the gospel, share literature, invite someone to church or family home evening. Naturally, it may take some time to bring a non-member friend to the point of taking the discussions, but you can help members bring their friends along a step at a time. As we've said before, talk is usually not enough. Members often need your help in practicing an approach. They might feel a little hesitant at first, but most people get right into it and are grateful for the confidence they gain through practice. As you do this, be sure to provide support and encouragement. Here's an example showing how this approach might work with members. Look for ways the missionaries follow through with these 5 suggestions. Discuss what went well and what suggestions for improvement you would make.
We feel good about Roger and his family. I work with him. A couple of weeks ago, we went on a picnic together.
Good.
We're both into old cars, so we have something in common.
Oh, yes. And Elaine asked me why our children were so well behaved. I remember that.
She should see them in sacrament meeting.
And what did you tell her? I mean, about why your kids are such angels.
Oh, I don't know. I did say something about family home evening.
Do you feel like the Lord has led you to these people?
Well, yes.
Well, then the next thing you'll want to do is to set a date. Prayerfully set a date. To do something specific with them. Like you set the date to go on the picnic.
Specific? You mean like invite them out to church, something like that?
Yes, that kind of thing. The key is to do what you're inspired to do and help them feel the Spirit, like we talked about last week.
Are they ready for an invitation to come to church or a church activity?
Is there some way you could bring up the gospel in a conversation?
I suppose I could.
You seem a little hesitant.
It's just that, well, I haven't done any real missionary work for a long time. I don't know what to say.
What would you like to do to help them feel the Spirit?
I don't know. I suppose I could, I guess, talk about family home evening.
Do you think that would best prepare them to feel the Spirit?
I think so. But how do you bring that up without them being offended?
Tell you what, would it help if we practiced a little?
Right now?
Sure, if it's all right with you.
Okay.
I'll be, Roger, was that his name?
Yes.
All right, when and where would you bring the situation up with him?
Might be at work.
Okay, let's do it.
Raj. Say, how's it going?
Great, Steve. How's it going with you?
Fine, Raj. Say, I was wondering.
Yeah?
Sally's talked to Elaine about family home evening before.
Yeah, Elaine told me about it.
How would you and your family like to come over and share one with us? Get an idea of how it works.
That was good. You did really well. Just one thing, though. You could be more direct in your question. Just come right out and say, will you come over and share a family home evening with us?
All right. Raj, will you come over and share a family home evening with us?
Gee, I don't know.
Sally will make her famous strawberry cheesecake.
Huh, when do you want us? That was good. And if that's all that happens the first time, well, then that's wonderful. It wasn't so hard, was it?
No. But you were pretty easy. What if he says no?
If he's a good friend, he'll still be a friend. Try to find out why he said no. Show him you understand and help him resolve his concern. You can always try again later.
Can we try it again right now? This time you say no.
All right.
Raj, how are you? How about tomorrow night?
Help them review a list of names of people they know. Encourage them to set a date. Then confirm that date, and if that date was not met, reset a new date. Guide them in making plans. Suggest a practice session if appropriate. and give them as much support as they need.
Let's pause for a moment and discuss the example we've just seen. What did you like about it? What might you have done differently? Stop the tape now and discuss your answers to these questions. When you're finished, restart the tape. Now we'll practice specific ways of helping members work with non-member friends. Let's divide into groups of two, with one of you taking the part of the stake missionary and the other the part of the member. Think of someone you're working with and plan a visit to their home. Practice what you'll do and what you'll say to encourage them to give you the name of a person that they'll bring into their home on a specific date to be taught by the missionaries. After the practice session, we'll share our experiences with one another. You do the same in your group. This practice activity will complete this segment of the training.